gig. You gotta know how to do it. Acting and prosthetics, makeup, heavy costumes, that's an art form. And very, very few actors can do it. I'm just going to tell you, very few actors can do. His job is, you've probably seen, I'm probably the most intrigued. I am starstruck, and I don't get starstruck. I don't. I am because I've seen this man's career. Before I ever knew who he was, I admired his work. Obviously, I found you in Hellboy 2, and in Pan, Labyrinth, and in Hocus Pocus. So it's, I'm totally honored because, again, I get this acting thing, and I get how difficult it is to do this in prosthetics. His job is to take a character in prosthetics and makeup and bring him to life so that you fall in love with him. How many of you fell in love with him in Hocus Pocus? I did. Yeah, I did. He took these characters and made them real. Anyway, I just want, without further ado, here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to ask you a little housekeeping. If you'll silence your cell phones for me, just make sure they're on silent. So, we're going to have, again, and I'm going to say this. I say this, if we were in Comic-Con in Seattle, San Diego, LA, I'm going to tell you, you wouldn't even get near him. And I mean it. I've seen the crowds, okay? We're fortunate here at Central City Comic-Con in Yakima to be able to be up close and personal with somebody of his abilities. He's a real person. He does an extremely great job. So without further ado, what we're going to do is this. We're going to open up. We're not going to drag this out. So you're going to have questions. We're going to go as long as you have questions. And so here's what we're going to do. I want you to give us Central City Comic-Con welcome to Doug Jones.
Love you, Dougie.
Love you more, man.
I'm going to let you start out, my friend. Again, you've all seen him on all these, his career.
There might be people here who have no idea who I am. That's possible too, because I've worked for 30 years under rubber makeup, so you may not know this face. I actually started way back, 30 years ago. So like my first major movie credit would have been Batman Returns. Anybody see that? I was one of the thin clowns. I was a thin clown in the credits with Danny DeVito. He hung out with the Red Triangle Circus Gang, so I was a part of that gaggle of people. And then shortly after that was Hocus Pocus, where I got to play Billy Butcherson, the goofy zombie fellow. It's on TV a lot right now because it's Halloween time.
Yes.
And then of course it's and then other highlight bullet points in my. I've done so much over the years. It's hard to remember everything. But I was in. Anyone see Tank Girl? Yeah. I was one of the rippers in Tank Girl. Those kangaroo guys. Yeah. And of course there was the Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode, the Hush episode. I was the lead gentleman in that. Then let's see. I'm trying to go through the years here. The first, Hellboy 1, Abe Sapien, the fish guy. Then Hellboy 2, I was Abe Sapien, the fish guy, and the Angel of Death, and the Chamberlain. Guillermo del Toro gets more out of me than anybody else can. Then of course there's the multi-Oscar winning Pan's Labyrinth, in which I played the El Fauno and the Pale Man, 2 characters. And there's more. And then I've done little silly bits. If you come to my table, you can flip through a little book of all the lesser known work, and you'll see, you were in that, but you were in that, and you were in that. I have a lot of those. And then of course, more recently than I was also the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four sequel. And I played 2 ghost ladies in Crimson Peak. Guillermo del Toro's, I thought it was a beautiful film, but didn't get enough notoriety. But wait, there's more. I also played Cochise on Falling Skies for 3 years, seasons 3, 4, and 5, if you saw that series. And speaking of science fiction and playing aliens, I'm now playing Saru on Star Trek Discovery.
Yes. How many of you, I gotta say, I'm a fan. Star Trek Discovery, off the Well, I'm gonna date myself off the chain, off the hook.
Off the hook?
Off the hook.
Raise the
Raise
roof.
the roof.
Yeah.
Very cool. I mean,
Yeah.
nice work.
Thank you.
Nice work.
And then, of course, the next movie, my 6th film with Guillermo del Toro, coming out December 8th, The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and mark my words, it's gonna be another Oscar contender. Okay, I think so.
It looks really
I
good.
think so.
That director, his name comes up a lot with really, let's say, successful projects.
Yeah.
Strain.
And this, I was also a recurring character on his TV show, Strain. Very good. See this one now.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. So, anywho, so there's a list of credits. That was the most boring part of my day, right there. I was in this, I was in this, I was in that. But thank you so much for knowing any of them and stuff. Yeah.
Well, here's the funny part, okay? You're an actor, been around a long time. You go out in public, but most people probably don't recognize you because you've always got the makeup on. For the most part.
But not always even. My own face is shown in many things over the years, including Arrow and The Flash. I did a
Okay, that's good to
I
know.
was Deathbolt, the little meta villain on those crossover. I did one episode of each. Yeah, it was great fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have quite, okay, I'm starstruck, I'm gonna admit it. And I don't get that way. I'm a big fan. So, we gotta ask some questions, because, working in all that makeup, even going to craft services and that makeup's gotta be tough to eat.
Craft services, that's our snack table on
Yes.
film and TV sets. And so, yeah, and you're correct. Oftentimes my costumes and makeups are in such a way that I might have access to my mouth, but I might also be wearing claw hands and I can't really grab. So I just kind of wait until lunchtime and then they can unglue some things and I can make a mess and they can glue me back together again before I go back to work. So, yeah, I have a harder day than most average actors, that's true.
You probably spend more time in the makeup chair than most.
Yes, anywhere between, that's the most common question I get asked is, how long does it take to put all the makeup on? Well, it depends on the character. The longest ever would have been, on a daily basis, would have been Hellboy 1 when I was Abe Sapien, the blue fish guy, wearing nothing but shorts, and you saw a lot of blue fish guys showing. That was in a 7-hour makeup.
Wow.
So if you think about 7 hours, that's a full work day before you go to work, basically. And then I might film for 10 to 12 hours, and then it takes 2 hours to get it all off again.
How does this, just for me, when you're sitting in there for 7 hours, I mean, you're either, I'm guessing, either reading lines or just vegging or just
All the above.
All the above.
Joking around with your makeup artist, they become my best friends, and then we also listen to music, or if somebody has a laptop and some internet connection, I love watching talking cat videos. yeah, so I love the YouTube.
I love this.
Yeah.
This is very cool. Okay, questions. Okay, you got to be dying here. Okay, what do you got here?
From Abe Sapien to this new character, is there any relationship?
Thank you for asking that, because everyone seems to think so, but no, I can tell you unequivocally, no. This new Shape of Water movie is not an origin story for Abe Sapien. It happens to be a fish man, and it happens to be played by the same guy. So that's so people are going to make that correlation. And there's been an egg thing too, because Abe Sapien, he loved rotten eggs as a delicacy. And there's eggs. Eliza, the young lady in this movie, played by Sally Hawkins brilliantly, she finds that she brings me hard-boiled eggs, and that's kind of a treat for me. They're not rotten though. So this new fish man he eats basically like raw sources of protein. That's kind of his diet. So eggs would be that. So I swear, that's it. That's where the comparisons stop.
All right, any other questions? Okay, yes.
Have you ever watched Sylvester the Cat?
Have I ever watched Sylvester the Cat? Way back in the day, yeah. That's an oldie, right? Is that on
No,
YouTube?
it's on YouTube. It's Sylvester the Talking Cat. It's just like a regular house cat.
Oh, but with subtitles and whatnot? Or is that it?
Yeah.
Is he the one that's, oh, yes.
It's a black cat.
I probably have seen him then, yes. I probably, I'm sorry. I think Sylvester was like, there was a, was there an
Looney
animated?
Tunes.
A cartoon? Sylvester, yes.
Tweety.
And Tweety Bird, yeah, Tweety Bird, yes. Yes, that's what I'm thinking of, but yes. Yes, I didn't realize he had a name. Okay, you're right.
All right. Any more questions here? Keep going. Yes, ma'am?
So for Guillermo del Toro movies, did you have to say your lines in Spanish, or is it dubbed over afterwards?
For Pan's Labyrinth, you're asking? Both. Boy, Pan's Labyrinth. There was a movie that just kind of changed my life. When Guillermo offered this movie to me, he told me that you have to play the fawn. No one else can play the fawn but you. And I was like, oh wow, that's intimidating. You know, when the director of his stature is saying, here's a beautiful movie I'm making and you have to play this character. My first thought was, I'm going to ruin it for you. And then I read the script and was like, oh, I'm wiping tears away, closing the last page and saying, of course I have to be in this movie. And then I read the other part of that email that said it's going to be in the Spanish language. And that's when I was like, oh, I don't speak Spanish. So I kind of told him, I think he made a horrible mistake. And what actor would say this to the director? Yeah, usually it's like, thanks for the gig. But I was like, oh, I want to do it so bad, but I'm going to ruin it for you, so I really think you got the wrong guy. And he said, no, you have to play. And he said, you can count to 10 for all I care. We'll dub over it later, that's fine, but you got to play him. I said, okay. So he left me the option of not having to learn those lines. But I thought, okay, if I count to 10, so they can dub over this later, that means my co-star, Ivana Baquero, an 11-year-old girl who is from Spain, will be hearing me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It'll mean nothing to her, right? And so I really need to learn the dialogue so we can actually interact as characters would do, so she can hear it and it'll mean something to her. And it'll mean something to me too. So I learned the language of the film. I had an English translation and a Spanish translation of the script, so I knew exactly, I broke it down word for word, I knew exactly what I was saying. And I knew exactly what she was saying as well back to me. So I did learn the Spanish, and that way they had lip sync then. Even if I didn't have the right sound, which I didn't, because I didn't have and my accent was very American. Actually, no. My makeup artists and people on the crew, when we were filming, they said, you don't sound American, we're not sure where you're from, but it's not America. Okay, that might have worked actually for the film. But I was so sure that I was wrong for to voice this that Guillermo did have enough idea. He dubbed over with a Spanish actor who he could direct with the nuances that I couldn't hear in the language, which is fine. In that scenario, it's fine. But because I gave that performance in Spanish on set, they had the perfect lip sync for which I'm so happy with. I'm so happy that would have been an awful dubbing job. You know what I mean? It would have looked awful. So thank you for asking that. Yeah. Anybody, anything? Your hair is so high. Oh my God.
It's magic.
It must be.
No, it's a water bottle.
A water bottle and some spray, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Hi.
Okay.
Thanks for coming. Hi. Yes, back here.
I'm curious, I've always wanted to know this. Do actors go back and watch the movies they've made? Do you ever do that?
I've watched everything I've been in, yeah. No, but there are some who say, like, oh, I never watch any of my own work.
Right.
And I don't know if I believe them or not, because curiosity would kill me. Wouldn't it kill you? Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know. Actors, we do get very judgy pants on ourselves. I don't love watching myself, but I do, you know. Because I'm very nitpicky, I'm a perfectionist, and I'll see every imperfection when I watch something back. Like, oh, I missed a moment there, oh, I could have done that better. Those are constant things I say to myself as I'm watching something on the first viewing. Now, the second viewing, I might be easier on myself, you know. But, yeah, so I watch everything. I don't know. You know, but I don't love myself all the time. And I love Doug Jones, but I don't love my performance.
So Doug, I'm going to ask you. You and Ron Perlman had a really great chemistry on Hellboy and Hellboy 2.
Thank you.
Are you? And I know these are personal. Are you guys? You stay in touch? Are you friends? And
We have, yeah.
Yeah, that's always good to know because I know that isn't always the case on sets, but because your chemistry shows, and it shows on almost all the shows I've seen with you. You have great chemistry with the cast.
Ron Perlman and I are both much like our Hellboy characters. He's very much like Hellboy, I'm very much like Abe Sapien in real life. He's a cigar smoking, cussing, crass man. I love him dearly for it.
I'm gonna guess you guys cracked it. I know that, there had the outtakes, they had to be something, because I'm just gonna guess, there had to be a little bit of foolery on the set, just a little bit.
Well, some tomfoolery, sure. The funny thing was, if you saw Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, I think one of our favorite scenes was when we were in the library, we pop open some beers, Abe's drinking for the first time, and we pop on Barry Manilow and sing along with him, I Can't Smile Without You. Oh my gosh, what other comic book superhero movie has a moment like that in it? So, unless it's Guardians of the Galaxy, okay. But no, I really love that. So here's the thing, Ron Perlman is a brilliant singer. He does a lot of Sinatra type tunes. He's got a very classic, great voice. I was a soloist at my church for many years. So we had to dumb it down to be two drunk superheroes. And so that was a note while we were filming. Guillermo del Toro had to say, cut, don't be so good. It was like, yeah, okay. We had to sing bad for ourselves. It was great fun. That was a lovely moment. He still calls me Brother Blue, and I still call him Brother Red to this day.
And and I'm gonna tell you something, these are the little things. From these panels, these are the little bits you get to learn that you wouldn't hear anywhere else. You get to hear a little bit of the history. So now you go back and watch, I tell you, go back and watch Hellboy 2 now and watch for that stuff. And now you know something. All right. What else? We gotta have some more questions here for him. All right, go ahead right here.
How was working on Hocus Pocus being your second one with, 3 actresses that have been well known?
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, that was amazing. On my way to work, my first night, that was a night shoot that I did. Because when you film a movie, it's often out of sequence, right? So the first scene I did was a scene that was cut from the film. It was shortly after I'd been awakened. I ran across the witches in a park. You didn't see the scene, but I had to be nose to nose with Bette Midler, like this far away from her face. Huge fan of hers. I knew of her work in college, and I had all of her albums, and she, on my way to work, I'm driving there, kind of nervous, like, okay, I'm gonna go work on Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler. Okay, we can do this. And then I'm on the car radio From a Distance comes on, right? So she's singing to me, and I'm gonna go meet her in a minute. Yes. On the way home, I heard it was either The Rose or the big one, the big song of hers. The Wind Beneath My Wings. Thank you. Yeah. So it's like I had heard one of her famous songs bookended that night of work on the way to and on the way home from. When I was working with her, though, when I first met her, I got the giggles because she had her eyebrows were gone as Winifred. She had these buck teeth in, those little funny lips painted on. It's like, and I couldn't look at her in the face and take her seriously because it was like, hello. I'm sorry. I got it. Okay. I got it. In action. Yeah. So, it was lovely working with her.
I would think working with Bette, Kathy, and
right.
all three of them had to be just nuts.
Yeah, it was a kooky fun time, and everybody was so delightful. Kathy and Jimmy is one of the most hilariously funny people I've ever met in my life. And Sarah Jessica Parker was so incredibly sweet. And I had a great time. And the kids, I still keep in touch with the kids on the social medias. Yeah, Vanessa Shaw and Omri Katz and Thora Birch. And we've all actually we all got together for the 20th anniversary screening that happened 4 years ago. Next year's 25 years. Do you believe that?
Wow.
I know. It came out in theaters in 1993. And don't I look fabulous for 57 years old? Oh my God! I know. Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. And I did ask for that.
I love it. Anybody else got some more questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Were you familiar with any of the cast members on Star Trek now before you started working with them?
On Discovery?
Yeah.
I was familiar with Sonequa Martin Green, of course, from The Walking Dead. I knew who she was. Hadn't met her yet, though. and Jason Isaacs, who now, of course, we all know him from the Harry Potter movies, and I knew him from The Patriot back in the day too, but I'd never met him either before this. And Michelle Yeoh, shut up, right? Yeah. From James Bond and Jackie Chan movies, and she's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, so she was kind of legendary for anybody who's ever interested in movement and choreography. She's like, dancer fighter lady. I hadn't met her before this either, so I was kind of starstruck meeting everybody. It's a great cast, and we all get along really, really well. So it is a special little family that's formed on Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, over here.
Is it true that there's a second movie coming out for Hocus Pocus?
Boy, there's been rumors for a long time. There was an article came out just recently, I guess, a couple weeks ago about it. So yes, it's been a Hocus Pocus 2 has been in development for a long time. And there was talk of it being a sequel that was took place 20 years later. So the kids have grown up and had kids of their own. Yeah, and Billy Butcherson would have been involved. My character would have been involved. Now, but this article that came out recently is also, there's some conjecture that it's a reboot with a whole new cast, right? So I don't know what to believe anymore.
It's been out since like last year, so I was like, I wasn't sure if it was.
Yeah, last year's news was I don't know. And then there's been some fan art, Hocus Pocus 2, the witch is back, or whatever. Yeah, and with some poster art and everything, that's all fan made. Yeah, it's good. People can do great things with Photoshop, but those aren't official.
So you're saying it's just a possible thing that there could be.
Right. Whatever articles you read, I read the same articles, so we can both guess. That's all I can do. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I want to tell you, yeah, Hollywood.
At the 20-year anniversary, so it's been 4 years since I heard about Hocus Pocus Part 2, and that's what I heard was the 20-year later version that I would be involved with. So I haven't heard anything different than that since then, but all these articles that come out with I have no idea.
We want Billy back with you.
So we do other stuff in the meantime, and it would be great. I would love to play Billy again if I could.
Get her now. We turn to you. Go ahead.
I have two questions. Where was Hellboy 1 filmed or anything?
Hellboy 1 was filmed in Prague, in the Czech Republic, in Eastern Europe. Hellboy 2 was filmed in Budapest, Hungary, also in Eastern Europe, because they were offering special tax deals then. Yeah.
Would there ever be a Hellboy 3?
Oh no, Hellboy 3 is no. There's a Hellboy reboot that is filming at this moment as we speak. Yeah, so there's a whole new Hellboy movie, and David Harbour from Stranger Things is playing Hellboy. Yeah, that's been in the news. And that is happening without Ron Perlman and Amy and Selma Blair. So, but that's a reality of Hollywood. Reboots are a thing, and so we'll see how this goes. I'm curious to see how it comes out. I met David Harbour at Comic-Con, and we hugged it out. So there was some, yeah.
I was just curious, is the Abe thing going to be in the remake?
I'm told he's not. The Abe Sapien does not show up in this particular reboot. But there's a whole franchise yet to come with that, maybe. So he could show up later. I don't know. So I guess that's nice though, because I don't have to watch someone else do that role, and then I don't have to be compared for the time being. That's great. That's great, actually.
What if David Hyde does it?
You had a question?
What was your inspiration for acting?
For acting in general, when I was, how old are you?
I'm 14.
14. Yeah. When I was about your age and younger, growing up into that area, I was a geeky child. I was very tall, very skinny, believe it or not. Yeah, right. Are you with me? Can we relate? And so I grew up in Indiana, in the Midwest. If you don't fit in, if you're not like the jock type or whatever, you get made fun of, right? So it's a thing of reality. That's reality. So instead of being the brunt of everyone else's joke, I decided to develop a sense of humor of my own. So I would come into the room doing armpit farts and so I was the class clown. There you go, that's what I'm talking about, okay. So I could control when they were going to be laughing at me, right? So what inspired all of my goofiness were TV shows of the day. And this is back when I was a kid, so that was a long time ago. My TV shows that inspired me were The Dick Van Dyke Show, Mary Tyler Moore, I Love Lucy, Gilligan's Island, Gomer Pyle, any movie that Jerry Lewis did, my gosh, Danny Kaye. So goofy, tall, lanky characters gave me hope. Barney Fife from the Mayberry R&B show. Come on now. Yeah, Don Knotts, right? Yeah. So skinny, goofy characters gave me hope that there was a place for me one day. And so I thought, well, so watching reruns of all these TV shows made me feel like that's where I needed to be then. If all my best friends are on that TV right now because I relate to them so much, I need to be in the TV one day. So I think that's what made me want to be an actor. Was to create laughter and hope and fun for other people one day. So hopefully that's what I'm doing now. I hope. Thank you for asking. Who else? Wait.
Go ahead, then I'll get to him.
Go
ahead.
So have you done any theater, or are you strictly a film actor?
I did theater back in the day, yeah. I started on the high school stage, and then I went to college at Ball State University in Indiana, and I majored in radio and TV broadcasting, had a minor in theater, and that's where I discovered the stage. I was joined a group called Mime Over Matter. Yes, I was a mime. And so that was the mime troupe on campus, and so I learned lots of stage technique in my education. But then when I ended up in Los Angeles, I did some plays here and there, but when you're also pursuing television and film, stage is a huge time commitment. And then you book a job on a TV commercial or a sitcom as a guest star or whatever, and that ruins your play. So I did very limited stage once I grew up. But I would love to. That's maybe on my bucket list. Maybe if Hollywood ever gives up on me, I would love to maybe do something on Broadway. Maybe just one show on Broadway just to say I did it. That'd be great.
I'll get this guy right, and then I'll get to you. Go ahead, sir.
Do you find it more enjoyable to like have all the prosthetics, and is it easier to get into the character if you have all that, or if you're just not without it?
It's this and this. Characters with a lot of prosthetic makeup, yes, it does help inform the performance, and you have a visual to work with. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm an alien from outer space now, right? That I could not play without that rubber makeup, right? So that's an advantage. Then the other side is when I get to play human beings. I did a Hallmark Channel movie where I played Raquel Welch's butler in this beautiful story about some kid getting an inheritance. Oh my gosh, I was in makeup for 10 minutes a day. Are you with me? I could go to that snack table and get my own carrot stick if I wanted to. No, it was really, that was glorious. So, but I was playing a guy. It all depends on the character. Is the character yummy and juicy and does it have great dialogue and great interaction with other characters? Is there some development? So if that's with makeup or without, doesn't matter to me. If it's a good character, I want to play him. Yeah, but thank you for asking. Yeah, right here, yes.
Yes, can you tell us a bit about what it was like working on the set of the Arrowverse?
Right.
Flash and Arrow?
Arrow and Flash, right. That was kind of huge popular shows, as you know, because you're a fan, aren't you? Yes, both those. Yeah, when I went, I didn't know what I was auditioning for. I was called in to meet a casting director, and I just read one page of dialogue, and I didn't know, I knew it was for Arrow, but I didn't know what character. And then I got a call saying that they want you, and then a press release came out saying, Doug Jones will be playing Deadbolt. I'm like, oh, now I know what I'm playing. I saw it on some .com somewhere. Yeah. But it was great. It was great fun. Now, I did not work with Steve Amell directly. The scenes I was in were with, oh gosh, actually I should have studied that before I came here today. I've been just long enough. The blonde lady that was his...
Emily Bett Rickards?
Emily, yeah, she plays, is that the character name?
Felicity Jones?
Yes.
Felicity Smoke.
That's who my scenes were with. And Brandon Ralph, who played the Atom.
Great moment.
Yeah, we had a great fight scene, he and I, and some stun doubles. So I found everyone to be so delightful. You know, when you're guest starring on a show, you're joining a family that's already up and running. So you're kind of like the country cousin. You can feel that way. You know, I don't belong here, but they were very gracious and very welcoming. So everybody. And then moving over to the Flash, my character on Arrow was more of a central piece of that episode. When I crossed over to the Flash, I was part of a lot of metahumans who were being transferred, and we broke loose. It was kind of like the Rogues, all that episode was called, it was a takeoff of Con Air. So it was like we were being a transfer and we broke free. And then I got killed. Mr. Freeze froze me. Or was it?
Captain Cold.
Captain Cold, thank you. I was thinking, not Mr. Freeze, that's Batman. Yes, Captain Cold froze me and shot me, and I'm dead now. So,
Do you feel like you become a big fan of Deathbolt since you played him?
well, yeah, I had to look back and find out who Deathbolt was, because he's a lesser known villain in the DC universe. But I saw some imagery, I was like, oh, what a cute purple cape. Yeah. But on the TV show, we didn't have the comic book looks always, so I wore more like I wore kind of like a flowing overcoat and some sunglasses. And I took my glasses off and I had like Deathbolt, that's where my name comes from. I shot death rays out of my eyes, which is kind of fun to do. To kind of go like, and know that you could blow somebody up. It's a great power to have.
Yes.
What's been your favorite character to portray visually?
Hmm.
As in, like, Alfano, like, visually pleasing to you?
Right, pleasing to me. I think, there's been a few. I can't just pick out one favorite. The best makeup artists in the world have had their hands on my face. So I owe a lot to their artistry. Abe Sapien from the Hellboy movies is just it's a masterpiece of beauty. He's gorgeous. The Silver Surfer was probably the hottest body I've ever had. Okay. Great ass. But I had to hand it back every day, right? Yeah. So here's your wet, sweaty. Okay. And now in The Shape of Water too, the new one. Oh, he's beautiful. That Fishman character is, and it went through 2 years of development to get the look just right. Mike Hill was a fine artist who was brought in to sculpt and paint that. Legacy Effects is the company that put it all together under Shane Mahan's direction. So it takes a village to make those characters happen. A lot of artists put their time and effort into it. So the Fishman in The Shape of Water is kind of an homage to the creature from the Black Lagoon. That was one of Guillermo del Toro's favorite Universal monsters ever. So this is kind of more of a nod to that storyline than Abe Sapien, really. And talk about a great ass. No, seriously. This was like, every time I walked away from Octavia Spencer's in the film as well, and she plays Sally Hawkins' best friend in the movie. And every time we were on set and I walked away, I would hear Octavia Spencer go, Right? It's like my ass was like a glazed ham. So he's beautiful. He's just beautiful. I also the Alfano from Pan's Lab was a gorgeous piece of art, and the Mailman too was a beautiful design, haunting design. And DDT Efectos Especiales, who made those and designed those, won the Oscar for Best Makeup that year as well. So for good reason.
Bring this to today with obviously Star Trek Discovery's on hiatus right now. I guess that's why you're here.
That's right. I finished filming about a week ago. I filmed last Thursday, and so we were filming in Toronto for about 9 months for season 1. Season 2, hopefully we get to do a season 2.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you.
It has not been officially greenlit yet, but we're ever hopeful. But it shouldn't take quite that long to film, probably. So we're on a filming hiatus, but the show's in full tilt. Episode 6 airs tomorrow.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you something. The reviews on, if you haven't, surfed the internet, reviews on Star Trek Discovery, again, are off the chain, off the hook, raise the roof. So we're hoping to see more. I date myself. But anyway, hoping to see more, because very, very excellent. I mean, you always wonder when they come back with more and more Star Trek, you wonder how far can they go, where are they going to take this, and are they going to keep the interest? And they did. Yeah. And your character's outstanding.
Well, thank you. This Star Trek is different than other series because it's serialized, so it's meant for binge watching. One storyline covers the entire season instead of it being one episode that has a start, middle, and you really, it's a continuing storyline for all of us. And my character, Saru, what's different about this series too is that it's not captain-centric. So the captain of the ship is not your central focus character. It's really Michael Burnham, who starts as first officer on Starship Shenzhou. Some things happen, and she, because of some decisions that she makes, gets a demotion and gets actually kind of thrown out of Starfleet, and then has to work her way back up again. So then we transfer over to Starship Discovery, and that's where she makes that climb back. I am like one of the characters that she interacts with a lot. When you meet us on Starship Shenzhou, I'm third in command. She's first officer. So Michelle Yeoh's captain, she's first officer, and I'm lieutenant commander, Saru. Then on the Starship Discovery, I've gotten a promotion. I'm now Commander Saru. I'm the first officer. And so now I outrank her now. So that's been a brother-sister kind of competitive relationship that we've had all along. And so it plays out really, really well. What was I gonna say? Yeah. So we're it's a new. It very much is traditional Star Trek, I think, in that there's all the bells and whistles are there, and the canon is being adhered to. Everyone's big fear is that it wasn't, but it is. This is the Prime timeline, not the Kelvin timeline. It is, and all of our writing staff is a bunch of really smart people. We even have a couple of PhDs on there who are Trekkies. I mean, they know this universe really, really well, and so everything. And if something doesn't line up with, we take place 10 years before the original series, so there's some things that are happening now that never happened in any other Star Trek series. Well, that's because keep watching, and you'll see how they make it to that thing, that character, that rule, that species, or whatever. It'll work itself out to get you to the Star Trek original series that you remember Kirk and Spock from. So so it's all working out.
I love it. I mean, I'm a huge fan. Any more questions? We're going to kind of start winding down. Okay, go ahead. Let me get you first. Go ahead.
How do you choose your roles?
Right. I answer the phone. And when I'm a lazy actor. I really am. I don't hit the pavement and really campaign to get jobs. I basically. So once I became known as a guy who wears rubber bits and is tall and lanky and people think I move well, that's the reputation I started getting. Then offers would come in, and I'll read a script, I'll talk to the director, and that's kind of how I choose. I get offered now, because I wear a lot of creature makeups, I get offered a lot of bloody horror films, right? So that's where I really test those out. I want to really see a script, I want to really see a character development, I really want to talk to the director to see is there any, and it's a redemptive quality in those films that will sell me. If it doesn't have any redemptive quality, if there's no positive outcome, if there's no greater storyline, greater lesson to be learned, personal development, something redemptive about it. If it's just about blood on the wall, I'm not going to be interested. Right, so it all depends on who's directing and what co-stars do I get to work with as well. Are there actors that I would love to work with, or is there a director I haven't worked with yet that I would love to? Those are also draws, and also now, do I get to play a human character without rubber on my face? That's also a draw. Yeah. It can be, yeah. So it all depends. All
right. Yeah. So you got a question? Go ahead.
Is there anything about episode 6 you can tell us without spoiling anything?
Oh, episode 6 of Discovery, airing tomorrow night on CBS All Access. Let's see. Now, episode 5, last week you saw Captain Lorca was in captivity under the Klingon, on the Klingon ship, and he met he met Tyler, a Starfleet captive also. I believe by the end of that episode, we're going to see more of Tyler on Starship Discovery. Yes, we are.
Excellent.
And that's a good thing. He's a good addition to the crew. And Captain Lorca is a different kind of captain. He's more of a wartime, like he's got good sensibilities in battle. So he's kind of like That's why he handpicked Michael Burnham to come out of prisonhood and into, Starfleet crewhood again. He kind of handpicked her because of her fighter spirit. And so now he's found Tyler while they were in prison together. And my dear friend now, Jane Brooke, who plays Admiral Cornwell, right? You've seen her a couple of times now. She is the one who's trying to keep Captain Lorca in check. So they're going to have a little tete-a-tete in episode 6 that makes you think, oh. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So be watching for Jane Brooke as Captain Lorca, or as Admiral Cornwell. Episode 5 was a big one for me personally, because while Captain Lorca was off the ship, I had to take the captain's chair and make a lot of captainly decisions, which was very difficult for Saru, but I got through it. And so yeah, you'll see more. Now, episode 8 is another big one for me coming up, a big storyline for me, and I can't just tell you anything more about it than that. But you'll see more of an emotional range and more heart issues for poor Saru. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're going to start winding it down, so thank you. Your questions? Okay, go ahead.
I think I have 2 questions that are kind of relate to each other.
Okay.
So this is your 6th film with Guillermo del Toro.
It is.
What was your first impression of him when you first started working with him up to now?
Here's the good thing about Guillermo del Toro. He has never changed, right? 20 years I've known that man, he's still the same man I met 20 years ago. And that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. The fame, the notoriety, the fortune has not changed him one bit. I met him on Mimic when it was his first American studio film ever. He'd done Kronos by then, and he'd done a lot of short films and television and whatnot in Mexico, and was quite well known there, but not so much here in the States. So when I was brought into Mimic, I was brought in just for 3 days of pickup shooting, so additional photography, right before the film came out. It was 3 weeks before the movie was released in theaters. I was brought in to do some quick shots to fill in some gaps as one of the bug guys. And that's when I met him. And my second day, I've worked 3 days on Mimic. My second day, I hadn't really met or interacted with the director of the film yet, which was Guillermo del Toro. Lunchtime, I have my little plate of thing, and I got my little bug suit off for a minute. Right here, across the table, Guillermo del Toro sits down with his tray of food, and he says, "So, tell me everything you've been in before." So I started listing off my resume for him, and this is back in 1997. So I had done Hocus Pocus, I'd done Tank Girl, I had done, I'm trying to think what, a lot of TV commercials. I've done over 100 commercials by now in my 30 years. So I was telling him about different characters, and he said, "Oh," and he knew every makeup artist I'd ever worked with, because he was crazy about creatures and creepy crawly things and monsters, and he knows who makes them. And so I worked with Stan Winston at the time. I worked with Tony Gardner, and a few names that Rick Baker. So he was like, "Oh, is he a nice guy? Have you met him? Oh, is he good?" So I was talking with an 8-year-old boy who was just so excited about monsters, And Guillermo del Toro has never changed from that. He's still an 8-year-old boy in his heart who just loves creepy crawly things, and he wants to make a geekgasm for all of us because he knows what those feel like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
My second question is, have you been to his house?
His Bleak House, where he has all his collection? No, I have not. Now, many people have been to Bleak House. Bleak House, he has quite an art collection. He's collected art from his own movies and from other people's fine art that he's collected. And his wife, Lorenza, doesn't want him to decorate their personal house with all of his monsters. So he bought a second house, and he filled it with all his monster bits. And that's where he does his writing, and it's his man cave, basically. So I have never been, because I guess I need to ask him. Let me go. But now's not the time, because half of his collection is touring museums. It was at Los Angeles, Yakima, I think the last one is Contemporary Museum of Art. And I did go to that display there. I had a private tour there. So I took some friends and went before they opened one day. So I saw a lot of the pieces of it. I was in 4 life-size versions of me were there in that collection. Yeah, I saw the Angel of Death from Hellboy 2 greeted you at the front door. Then the pale man from Pan's Labyrinth and the fawn from Pan's Labyrinth when they're in full-size body versions of me, and the mother ghost, the black-veiled mother ghost from Crimson Peak was in there as well. So yeah, it was kind of like, huh, it's a lot of me. In a museum. Am I that old? So hopefully something.
I'll tell you, what I love, just watching you, I was making this observation, you're a great physical actor. Just like, you were talking about Dick Van Dyke, I see your movements, I see Abe, I see Billy, your movements, which is just awesome, because as an actor in the kind of prosthetic makeup, you are acting, you have to act with your body. I mean, you gotta know how to do it. You know how to do it. I'm in awe of you. I really am. I'm in awe. I've seen a lot of people. You just have that. You're up there with the Dick Van Dykes and all those physical
bless you.
comedians you talk about. I want to make sure. Let's give Doug. I want. Well, first, let me tell you before you do. Doug's got a booth down there. Okay, you can get pictures with him. You can get autographed pictures. He'll talk with you more, and I encourage you to go down there. The fun part about today, guys, these panels is this. You get to learn some inside things you wouldn't see even on the internet. You're hearing it right from his mouth. So I find this stuff fascinating. So I want to make sure we give him the kind of applause and thank you that we need to give him here. All right? Come on. Enjoy the Central City Comic-Con, guys. Go down, say hi to Doug and everybody down there, and we'll see you again tomorrow for our panels. So come back and enjoy your day.
Yeah, and you don't have to buy anything, just come by and say hi.